Dear Lord, we come to you this evening thanking you for the blessings of this day. We thank you for the blessings that you give us every day. We ask that you watch over our meeting and guide our hearts and minds to make decisions that are in the best interests of our water system and its members. We ask that you watch over and protect our military men and women, first responders, all those who work to keep us safe and free every day. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Director Matthews, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everybody to our board reorganization meeting. I'd like to announce that we do have a quorum. We've got all 7 of our directors here. Audio and video recorders are in use. We have no unfinished business, so we're going to move right on to election of officers. 2023 officers were President Mark Miller, Vice President Mike Matthews, Secretary Bill Thiel, and Treasurer Joe Campbell.
I'd like to nominate David Crumby for president.
I'll second that.
David, do you accept the nomination?
I'll accept it.
I make a motion to close the nominations.
I'm sorry?
I make a motion to close the nominations.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. Well, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays or abstentions? Motion carries.
Wow. I feel like Donald Trump in Iowa.
It's too early to call. It's too early to call.
David, I'm going to go ahead and
Oh, no, wait a minute, really?
get to go?
It's your meeting?
You're supposed to
Oh, you pass the gavel?
Yeah.
All right.
You were the president.
There you are.
now.
You want to sit there? Or you
I'll
wanna
sit over here, yeah.
Okay.
I got all my junk food over here, so.
All right. Have you got an agenda?
I do, yep.
Okay.
I hope not.
Not that kind of agenda, yeah. I do have an agenda coming up this year. I would like to see us finally make a decision about that golf course and have some kind of decision made so that we don't have to go through that every single meeting that we have. Something simple, something everybody can agree on. That's something I'd like to work on.
Good.
All right. Well, I wasn't prepared for this, but here we go. So the next, so I guess that one's taken care of, right? So we still have to vote for vice president. Do I hear any nominations?
Are you allowed to say it down the road? I mean, I'll nominate Mike Matthews to remain.
I'll second.
You accept the nomination?
Yes.
Anyone
Make a
else?
motion to close the nominations.
I'll take that.
Okay. Everyone that wants to vote for Mike Matthews, vice president, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I think it passed unanimously. All right. And we're going to have to replace Bill as secretary. So,
Should we have to go back to secretary and treasurer, which is what our bylaws say, or do we want, I mean, the bylaws say that we could have a secretary, I think, that's outside of the board of directors. But it doesn't say you can split those positions. I know that years ago when we had a crazy board, we split them because one of the people didn't want to do it, but
So how long
I think
ago
it's,
was that?
huh?
How long ago was that?
When James Calkins was president.
Doesn't help me.
I didn't, it had 2000, or when was it?
4 to 5 years ago, maybe?
17, 2017. And that was the only time, and I think that was only for like half a year.
So you're saying it was combined longer than it's been separated?
It was
only
combined last
It was
year.
only separated last year and that 1 year
Prior
I'm
to that
talking about.
combined,
And
right.
that was only for a partial year.
I'm fine with that.
On with what?
do we need to vote on that?
Single.
However you want to handle it. I mean, I'm in favor of it being one person if that's what the will of the board is.
I didn't see, we did separate it last year, and I really didn't see an advantage
Yeah.
of having it separated like that.
Well, I'd rather ask So before we do, I'll ask Joe. I think Joe was treasurer. Is there enough there it's enough? Secretary can be another person and they're both busy enough?
No idea what the secretary did, so I'd have to ask Bill, but I was comfortable with treasurer, but I was comfortable with split, but what are the duties of the secretary?
We reviews the minutes.
Okay, yeah.
I'm
I'm easy
Signs
either way.
member certificate.
Member certificates,
It splits the wealth if you have them separate, as long as we're not prohibited from separating them. It kind of spreads the workload, but if it's just signing minutes.
Yeah, signing the minutes, I think is.
Yeah, kind of being the official board reviewer of the minutes.
I'm okay either way, personally. Do we have a motion?
So,
Yeah,
well,
did you make
do we
a
need a
motion?
motion for that specifically, or can I just say I nominate Rob Lowe to be the secretary treasurer?
That's it. There you go.
And I move that we close the nominations?
And I'll second that too.
does Rob accept the nomination?
I guess. We'll give anything a try once.
There you go. All right. So everyone that wants Rob,
Jump in feet first.
the newbie, to take over secretary and treasurer, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Congratulations, Rob.
Thank you.
All right, going down the line.
There's a list.
All right, that's it for that, right? I'm going to go to the next one.
Check signers.
All right. Next one would be the Fruce Board,
Check
Check
signers.
signers.
check signers. Oh, down here at the bottom, gotcha.
Oh, on there.
President Mark Miller, I'm guessing that would probably be cute. I turned this down, I didn't think I was gonna need it.
I'd like to make a motion that the check signers be the CEO, the director of ops, the current president, and the current treasurer. And just keep it with that. That way you don't have to, that's my motion. So in this effect, it would be David and Rob.
I'll second that.
Hang on.
Clinton, Jeff. Okay. I need a motion to remove the current check signers.
So move.
Actually, we need to make a motion to remove, I think could make a motion to remove Joe, Mark, and Bill Thiel. Because
thank you.
Jeff and Clinton
Will remain.
Right.
Okay, so we're gonna stay on.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
You did.
Done.
Would you like to make your motion now?
Okay.
I'd like to, yes, my motion is to have the CEO, the director of water ops, the current president, and the current treasurer as the check signers. Do we need a
I'll second
fifth?
that.
I don't think we've never needed a fifth.
Well, I think last year, if there was,
Dr. Campbell,
because secretary and treasurer were separate. Now they're not.
So in this action, it would be better if you actually name the individuals because we have to take that to the bank and if we just take it and say
Okay.
it's the operations officer, we then have to do.
I amend my motion, the current president being David Crumbly, the current secretary treasurer being Rob Lowe.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Any objections? Okay. So the current check signers will be myself, Rob Lowe, Jeff Krigler, and Clinton Wells. Now we move on.
And to be clear, those are the Holly Navarre water system check signers.
Yes.
Thank you.
Because you're going to take another action later on for your other entities.
Yeah, Okay. Item 3, pension 401k trustees. Current trustees would be Bill Thiel and Don Linnell. Bill obviously is no longer with us on the board. So I need to make a motion to remove him as a trustee, 401K trustee? No?
I think we're just making,
Say
Can we just
individuals
vote
would be
two
doing.
in?
yeah.
It's pension and 401k.
Your motion.
It's one committee, yeah.
It's one committee, pension
Pension
slash
slash
401K,
With
correct?
different companies, trustees.
Yeah, you can do it in one motion,
Okay,
but you want to name.
okay.
So at the, just for clarification, so we had, Bill was on the pension committee, correct, and Don was the 401?
No, they're
Both on both,
Yeah.
okay, all right, makes sense.
And all offer, not a whole heck of a lot of work there, but it was interesting. I mean, if you're willing, I'd certainly like to be nominated to stay on it. And it doesn't take a lot of extra work.
I would, I'd like to see Mike or Rob on that committee too. It'll give them some insight into what's going on, just like you said, Donnie.
I'll do it.
Okay. Do we have a motion,
I think you need a motion, and I'm not comfortable naming myself.
I'd like to make a motion that the current pension trustees remove Bill Thiel and add Mike Matthews and Don Linnell to remain as a trustee.
A second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any objections? None heard, motion passes. All right, item number 4, subcommittee chairs. Committee chair this past year was Joe Campbell. Capital improvements, Don Linnell. Budget, O&M, Darrell Lynchard. Pension, Bill Thiel. And SR Regional Use Project was Mark Miller. Should we start with committee chair?
I think the committee chair should be the treasurer.
Treasurer, yes.
Which, that would be Rob. I nominate Rob to be the finance committee chair.
Second?
Everyone in favor?
Yes.
Well, for discussion, it just said finance. It just doesn't say that anywhere in our agenda. Is this, so where it says subcommittee chairs, the committee chair where it said Joe Campbell, is we're saying that's the finance chair?
Finance
And that's
Yeah,
now
that's-
Rob?
Yeah, the budget and the CIP fall, and they're kind of redundant, but yeah.
All of them.
Okay, so the motion is for the finance committee chair. The motion was for Rob Lowe to take over that position.
Is there a second?
And we have a second.
I did.
I seconded.
Everyone in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Congratulations, Rob. This past year's capital improvement, Don Linnell was on that committee.
I'd like to do that.
Okay,
I won't fight you for it.
Darrell,
I'll nominate Darrell to be capital improvements.
I'll second it.
we have a motion and a second for Darrell Lynchard to take over capital improvements committee. All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstention? I mean, anyone against it? Nope, that passes as well. All right, this past year's budget O&M committee was Darrell Lynchard.
I'd like to help out with that unless anybody else wants to run for it.
I nominate Mark Miller for budget and O&M.
I think Joe wants to do that, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it.
No. Mark, you want it?
I'll rescind that.
Mark, do I sound like Mark Miller?
Change that.
I nominate Joe
In this year you do. In this year, no.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for Joe Campbell to take over budget O&M. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, Bill was on the pension committee. And anyone like to take over that position?
I think probably should be Mike,
Be the
right?
trustee, yeah.
I'll nominate Mike,
One or the other.
since he's the pension trustee as well.
Second.
All in favor of Mike Matthews taking over the pension committee?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. And the regional reuse project, that was Mark, so I'm guessing that would probably be me.
Yes, nominate David Crumbly to be the Santa Rosa Regional Reuse Project Committee Chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, we move on to the Fruce Board. Fairpoint Regional Utility System. Currently, Mike Matthews and myself sit on that board. I would prefer not to be, if I've got this job.
I'd like to be on that one again.
Okay.
How about Daryl and I tag team? Oh, Mike, you want to go?
No, if you, go ahead, I'll take a break.
Okay.
No, no.
No,
If you enjoyed it, you can.
no, take it, Jeff.
I just.
All you.
He enjoys the
Interesting.
Gulf Breeze traffic is what he enjoys more than anything.
Ask Clinton, I paid it back though, boy.
David just
Had to cut him off in the parking lot.
All right, I need a motion. Daryl and Joe volunteered.
Second.
I didn't hear,
There needs to be a motion.
make sure I got the ear right. Who was saying they wanted to be on it?
Joe and Daryl.
Joe and Daryl.
Joe and Daryl.
I thought
I
that'd
move
be
that
interesting.
Joe and Daryl be assigned to the Fruze board.
It's real quick.
I know.
Okay.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Sorry, that was me.
Mike.
Beat you to it.
All in favor of Daryl and Joe being on the Fruce Board? Say aye.
Aye.
And the motion passes. Okay. The next board, we have Messy Board representatives. You've got Phil as president, Jeff Krigler's vice president, Dale Long secretary, and I was on the Messy Board this past year.
It was an unintended consequence too, that we ended up with 4, that Dale stayed on the board. It was just the language of the vote last year. So normally we only have 3. So I just point that out, that was kind of an unintended consequence.
What was his staying on the board? Dale staying on the board?
Yes, he was on the board previously, and the way the motion was made, it did not remove him from the board, so.
Okay. Typically, he would have been. Is that, you seem to be implying typically he would have been.
On the board? No, typically the board is me, the CEO, and one of you gentlemen.
Okay.
That's
That's what I
typical.
meant to say.
So we need to make a motion to remove him from the board?
Yes, the
Okay.
motion should be similar to the Holly Navarre. The motion can include removing and adding at the same time, but it needs to specifically remove Dale. And if you wish to keep me and Jeff, it needs to add one of you gentlemen.
We can remove you?
Remove me? You can't,
I didn't think that was possible.
you can't remove me from one, the president or vice
I know
president.
that. I'm messing with you.
So I'd be interested in doing that, just learn more what they do.
Volunteer, there you
Unless
go.
somebody else wants it.
I'm good.
So
I
I
make a
need,
motion to remove Dale Long as secretary and David Crumbly as director from Messy's board, and add Don Linnell as a director, or as the secretary.
Correct.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 You mean I have to take notes?
No, you do not have to take notes. Emerald is really good at preparing those for you to look at.
You just have to read them. Okay, motion passes, so we go on to the check signers.
And on this one too, we intentionally put Dale on here last year because the previous year we had had one small time period when we had trouble getting a second check signer. Dale and I are never, ever going to sign a check together. And Dale did not sign any checks in 2023. So as far as Dale and I are concerned, we both don't need to be there. Dale does not need to be in there, so.
Bill was, I guess, yeah.
I make a motion to remove Dale Long as a check signer, remove Bill Thiel as a check signer, and add Don Linnell as a check signer.
Second.
So for discussion, was David on there last year because he was on the board or because?
Yes.
Yes.
It would match.
Correct.
It would match.
And I can stay on as a check signer as well.
Fine with me.
All right, I have a motion and a second for the check signers to be Phil Phillips, Jeff Krigler, Don Linnell, and David Crumley. Everyone in favor say aye.
Actually, that wasn't the motion.
That was the motion. And to remove
That's the
Del
effect.
Long and Bill Thiel.
That's the effect of the motion, but that wasn't the motion. The motion was to remove Dale Long and Bill Thiel and add Don Linnell.
Which left the four that he mentioned.
Yeah, which left the four that you mentioned, but that wasn't the motion that I made.
Sorry, thank you.
Just want to make sure we were all on the same
So
page.
clarification, the motion was to remove Dale Long, Bill Thiel, and to add Don Linnell as a check signer. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Yeah, and Mr. President, so just to be clear for the record, there are four messy check signers.
Correct.
Bill Phillips, Jeff Krigler, David Crumley, and Don Linnell.
That's correct. Sunbiz annual reports update. The officers and directors for Holland and Laura. Hidden Creek messy. Hidden Creek is currently Jeff Krigler.
And this is simply to direct staff to reflect on Sunbiz, the changes you have now just created. So it's simply to direct them to update Sunbiz according to the actions you have now taken.
And we need a motion in a second, correct?
Or just a direction to staff.
Can I ask you a question, Mr. President?
Sure.
Staff. Have we renewed our Sundays for 2024 yet?
No.
No, okay. Then, just as discussion, I don't think that we should update the officers and directors, per se, with the state of Florida. I think we should file our new tax return, our new articles of our, or whatever it is, with the new ones on there, rather than spending the money just to change the names and then file the new return. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. When do we normally update our Sunbiz?
Well,
March is our deadline.
In March?
yeah, I think is it April 1st?
May 1st, I think.
May 1st, that's right.
So Mark would still sign the taxes because we already voted on that though, correct?
Say that again?
It doesn't have anything to do with it.
If you
The
change,
Sunbiz update is just for information. only,
yeah,
correct?
I got that. Okay.
So I guess the motion would be, when we file our new Sunbiz annual reports, to include the current, or to update the officers and directors to what they actually are.
Second.
So point of discussion would be, do we have to wait a certain time? Like the April or May 1st, what it?
No,
it
you
was-
could just stop the action.
So why can't we just do it this month?
Because
Do it
Or
tomorrow
next
morning.
month?
Do it
Okay.
tomorrow morning?
All right.
Yeah.
So it's up to staff when we do it.
Yeah.
We're just saying do it then. Okay, I'm good with that. Staff will figure it out. I see them looking at each other.
Basically,
I have a
what,
question for Emerald. Real quick. Emerald, does it cost money to update the officers in Sunbiz?
So I wouldn't do an update, I would do an annual report.
Okay,
Yeah,
Yes.
so you would do that, any report at the
and
same
that costs
time?
money.
Okay.
And it does cost money to do
To-
that, but
I
so
know
that's why
that.
it makes sense to only do it once.
Well, it's an
Like
unnecessary
$65 or
action.
something.
We won't be
Stay there.
in line with the Sunbiz,
The
but
only time we have an amendment is when we,
do this.
lose a director or a
Right.
CEO.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, so we have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. So that passes as well. Club at Hidden Creek. Looking at check signers, the current check signers are Jeff Krigler, Clinton Wells, Darrell Lynchard, and Mike Matthews.
We still on there?
So I think Darrell and Mike were at it last year when they first added to the golf course.
Committee, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
the
right.
golf course committee, which is defunct now,
Yeah.
so to speak.
We still need 4 check signers, correct, Emerald?
Well, we at least need, do we need four?
One more.
One director.
Yeah, we-
Yeah.
I think at least we need David, I mean, that might be.
I think David and the
Probably make the
treasurer.
most sense, yeah, David and Rob.
I'd like to suggest that while the management board of the club at Hidden Creek no longer has a director on it, I'd like to see a director, one of the directors of the board attending those monthly meetings and be like a board liaison or committee chair, whatever title you want to give that person. I think it would be in the best interest to have a director attending those meetings.
I think we have had, hasn't Bill?
Bill has been going to them.
Bill,
Is that right?
Bill did, I did not. I didn't for different, Bill did because personal interest,
Mhm.
for one.
Yeah.
And I'll offer, if you want somebody this next year, I think it's a good idea. I'd certainly volunteer to do that. I'd like to see either be David or somebody that has an interest, such as me, or, I mean, I'd certainly be interested.
Well, let's go down that road then, Mark, since we do have a director on Messi, and I know last year it was because Darrell didn't really want to be on the board and thought there was some things going on, so why not have a director on that management board?
I don't know that,
Well,
Go ahead.
we had just one, then do we have a even number?
I think that the board.
He's suggesting a liaison, not a voting number.
Okay.
And that's where I would go. I think we should have a board representative there, but not a voting representative.
And my only point is we have a board voting member on Messi, but we're treating the club different. That's my only point there. So, and I understand it, it's 1 and 1, but if you're going to have a liaison, why not take that next step? But
We've had too many problems with that. I had a problem with violating the management agreement, with borrowing $500,000 that this board
Darrell,
had
we
to
can
find
always
out about
disagree.
it on Facebook.
Legal has.
Legal gave us accounting.
Why are you raising your voice?
Because legal gave us account.
Normally when you're losing an argument is when you raise your
Our
voice.
CPA firm sat here last year and said that everybody that said that wasn't debt was wrong. They included it as debt in our audit. Our management agreement says that if there is any debt acquired by the golf course, it has to come to this board. Only it didn't. The only way we found out about it was through a Facebook post. No, I don't want a single member out there, especially somebody that's personally interested in the financial operations of that golf course.
I should
So
imagine
let's just-
every member of this board
Let's just let it go, and I think that it should be a non-voting representative.
and I would hope every director here is interested in that golf course so that we don't spend
Personally
member
interested
money.
in it. Personally, financially interested in it, might I ask.
If you want to make a
Mark,
motion.
I'll make a motion that Mark be the liaison to the, is that what you're looking for? I know that's not on the agenda. You're just looking for check signers now, right?
I think we need to stay with the agenda.
Yeah, let's knock out the check signers first,
Okay.
and then we can move on to this topic. So the check signers, like I said, Jeff Krigler, Clinton Wells, Don has volunteered, and my name got brought up as well. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So
To remove Darrell Lynchard and Mike Matthews and add Don Linnell and David Crumbly as check signers for the club at Hidden Creek.
I second.
There you go. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. So the new check signers for the Club Hidden Creek, Jeff Clinton, Don, and myself. So we'll move on to this discussion on either returning to what we were doing before and having a board member on the board at the Club at Hidden Creek, or just a representative who's going to monitor the meetings.
Mark, are you interested in monitoring?
I would. I kind of think Don might be a little more fit for that, since he's a golfer and I'm not much of a golfer.
I think it's more about the business.
It is.
Being able to
It
make
is,
business
but
decisions.
understanding how golf courses work and that kind of thing.
Somebody says Ford duck, that's all you need to know.
I'm willing to do it, but I would defer to Don if Don would rather do it.
If Don has time to do it, I think he should.
I know.
I'm willing. I'd like to.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Do we have a motion
Liaison, right?
for board representative?
Make a motion that Don Linnell be a board representative to attend the Club at Hidden Creek meetings, but as a non-voting member.
So that's the monthly management board meeting, and you're welcome to attend any of the others as well. But I think what they're talking about is definitely attending the monthly, the official monthly management.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the only one I was really thinking of.
All right, so we have a motion that Don Linnell be the board representative. We have a second from Daryl. Everyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone against? Motion passes. All right.
Next one's right up the alley you wanted to go.
Yeah, here we go. The Club at Hidden Creek Sprayfield invoice, at the May 2023 board meeting, the board voted to have staff bring any expenses over $169,900 back to the board for approval, including the December invoice from FPL. The total amount for 2023 would be $175,044.43. And that's up approximately $6,000 from the amount that we had approved.
It's 5100.
51.44. 51.44 and 43 cents is the fiscal impact. Staff recommends we approve it to reimburse the Club at Hidden Creek for the qualified spray field expenses in the amount of $5,144.43.
So to get it rolling, I'll motion to approve payment of the $5,144.43 for the identified TCHC spray field expenses that were over the 169K mark.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
How about discussion?
It's this discussion. Open for discussion.
What was our budget this year for 2024 for Sprayfield?
I believe we have 190 in there.
Okay.
The golf course was profitable last year, in excess of the amount that we sent them for the spray field. And the idea is that the golf course will be self-sustainable and not cost our members money. I think we've had a lot of discussion about what we're required to give the golf course, and I think that everybody looks at the history, they understand that we've never given them any money, or we were never required to give them money whenever it was a private organization when we didn't own it. We did not give them money. We gave them money because they needed it to stay in business, and obviously they don't need it to stay in business, not this amount. We've budgeted an amount of $169,900 last year, and I think we need to stick to that budgeted amount.
So we budgeted 169.9 because that was an estimate on what the expenses would be. But we had a motion from earlier year that we would pay identified spray field costs. I agree with Errol that we want to get it to fully sustainable, and that is the goal. And it did have, lack of appropriate timing, it did have positive results last year on revenue. It made some money. And now but I don't think the operating account is where it needs to be instead. So that's part of what I think you need to look at this year is we own it. It needs to have an operating account for when things go south. And just what's that need to be? And then we need to get to that level, I think, before we start withholding funds because we say they don't need it yet.
How much money is in their operating account at this point?
They're just under 500,000 at this point
I think that's sufficient.
or something.
For what?
I don't know, what are you gonna break the
Well,
cost more than
no, I'm
$500,000?
just asking what you think is sufficient for.
Well, I think it'd be sufficient if somebody brought us some information and told us what it needed.
Yeah, I mean, the thinking on a reserve for the golf course is, you know, a scenario where the hurricane hits and the golf course is closed, and we're able to, you know, pay the necessary staff and at least continue that process till we can reopen again. That's the thought behind it. We haven't identified that number yet. We've just talked about it.
Probably wouldn't be more.
Well, I think
than
an open, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, nothing, I was just, it wouldn't be more than $500,000 though.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the number, to be honest with you.
Well, towards that, and I'm running on rumor here, so I'd be happy for staff to correct, but I'm under the impression that, I'm sorry, I do not know what our actual insurance policy would cover and not cover as far as hurricane damage. So that's one thing I think needs to be answered, at least for me. Everybody else might know, but I do not.
Yeah, this is probably some good topics for the first management board meeting to start working through that.
David's special subcommittee to get to the bottom of everything. Hey, I joked a little bit about it, but I said a year ago, I'm tired of the golf course being an issue. It needs to be profitable for everybody, and we just need to get there.
I think everybody is. And I'd say two quick notes on why this item's even on here. You know, the club did not ask for reimbursement of those real estate taxes. The reason this was kind of thought to be there is we paid 11 months of the FPL bill, so this would be the 12th month. So just it was almost more for consistency. So I you can argue it both ways.
Yeah, I think it would be odd to pay 11 months of a bill and not pay the 12th month, just because it's an over the budgeted amount that was.
We had a budgeted amount, and I think we need to stick to our.
Yeah, I'm leaning toward Daryl on this one. I think we've given them $169,900, and that's what we said we were going to cap it at. They have a profit this year. Personally, I think we've done enough. And again, this year, let's fix this. I'm tired.
Okay. So following up on your comment then, all the budget amounts that we just passed last month, those are absolutes.
Yeah, that was.
Well, that's.
Unless the
Did
board
you say
changes-
that, or you said-
I said they're absolutes until this board changes them. I'll give you that.
Right.
Just like right now, we're deciding whether or not we're going to change this.
Okay.
Call a vote.
All right, so we've got a motion from Don to pay the amount, $5,144.43. Do we have a second?
We did.
We did, we had a motion and a second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Raise your hands, please, yeah. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, said aye.
Well, where's you for?
Mike, Mark,
Mark, Joe, and I.
Joe, and Don. So 4 out of 7, that wins.
Oh,
Just for the record, nay?
nay.
All right. Just for the record, Rob, Daryl, and David voted nay. So the motion passes. Okay. Member 4. Anyone want to speak?
Oh, I'm sorry. Like I said, number 4. I got it. This year is going to give me trouble someday, for sure.
Kurt Cosby, Marlin Street, Holly by the Sea. First off, congratulations to everybody in your new positions. Mr. Krigler, I meant to mention this to you before the meeting. I saw an article, I can't remember, Pensacola News Journal, whatever it was, but you were talking about the collaboration with Gulf Breeze. Can you expound on that a little bit? Because I didn't hear any of that in any meeting.
I assume what you're referring to has to do with the Eglin Ribs project.
Right.
I'm not sure what they're a project partner as well. Other than that, I'm not sure we don't have any special agreement with them.
Well, it was just, I found it curious because I never heard any discussion about it during the board meeting. And the collaboration seems to be that you guys, once you get the RIB system up, you're going to be taking their effluent.
No, there's a phase to send them effluent. One of the phases of the
Okay.
Eglin project
So-
is to send them. Phil will give you the exact specifics.
So we call it the Eglin project, but really and truly, there is a three-party agreement, and it's called the South Santa Rosa Reuse Initiative. That initiative was given essentially $10 million by the Water Management District as a grant. That's the reason why that agreement exists. As part of that agreement, Holly Navarre has agreed to send progressively, it starts at 300,000 in the first year or two and goes to 500,000 gallons per day. But Holly Navarre has agreed that if the city of Gulf Breeze constructs at their cost a line between the end of their reuse system and Holly Navarre's wastewater treatment plant, Holly Navarre has agreed to send them that treated effluent.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I was just confused on the way the article wrote, and of course I wasn't prepared and brought that. Anyway, and congratulations, Mr. Crumbly, President. Can you give us some thoughts on what you said about the golf course?
I think we all agree that the golf course is like our thorn in our side when it comes to these meetings, because it's very confusing for a nonprofit company to own a for-profit company, and then the money's going back and forth, and it seems shady sometimes, even though from what I've seen, my time on the board, it's not. But I would like to see the golf course become self-sufficient. Understanding that there is a certain amount of, as we spray the effluent, there's a certain amount of cost that comes with that the golf course should not have to absorb. So my thoughts, and again, I think Don had a great idea. I think we put together some sort of a committee that can really dive into this and come up with some ideas and some solutions. My personal solution would be to come up with a number that we would supply, amount of money that we would supply to the golf course for the spray field itself, whether it's the pumps, the electricity for the pumps, the heads, whatever. But I would like it to see it less than the $169,000 that we, $170,000 basically that we sent them this year. But I'd like to come up with a number that the board is comfortable with, that the golf course is comfortable with, as far as what they could use for the spray field, and then just bury that and just pay that every year. And as expenses rise, obviously we would have to change that. But that's my personal thoughts and opinion.
Well, thank you, and it'll be interesting this year. And I would just say, I would like this water company to not be in the restaurant and golf course business. And at that, congratulations, everybody.
Thank you.
Phil, the effluent going to Gulf Breeze, they're gonna irrigate with it?
Yes, they have a public.
Purple
access
pipe.
system. Yeah.
Is that the only member forum? Before we adjourn,
That's it.
before we
say something?
Daryl noticed that the next meeting now says it's going to be at TCHC? Is that-
No, it's incorrect.
Okay.
So I have one thing, David. So have we talked about the board training / strategic visioning dates?
Director Miller and I discussed some preliminary dates, and we were going to maybe throw that out tonight as February 9th, it's a Friday, as a potential date, and that'd be the morning. We're trying to condense it to one morning session, maybe 7:30 to 11:30, so we're not tying up everyone's day.
That was on Friday?
Friday, February 9th is what we're looking at, and I think that was good for Mark, but I haven't talked to anybody else about that. I mentioned it to Rob today, but other than that, So if that date works, I think we can work towards that. And I'm not, Will, I don't know if you're available. Okay.
Do you just want a thumbs up or thumbs down from us?
Or you just let me know separately. If it generally works for everybody, we'll go ahead and schedule it.
Okay.
Take a vote on it.
February 9th is fine with me.
Okay.
Everybody good?
We'll get it scheduled.
February 9th
And
is going
we'll
to be.
send out an agenda, and if anybody has any thoughts of anything else they want to cover, just please let us know.
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Anybody? All right. We got a second? Hey.